What's going on, everyone? It's DV, and I'm back in Roblox Islands for a new update. So we got the oil update, which also included a ton of stuff. We got so much as part of this update. It's a huge update, and you might be wondering what I'm drinking. I'm just drinking some Diet Coke, aka oil. I'm just kidding. This is actually oil barrel. I'm going to show you everything you need to know about this update. There's a lot of confusing points. Everyone was, especially on the live stream, we had a lot to go through. I think I spent like almost 5 hours on the live stream today, and that was mainly just so I could figure everything out. Partly is because, the update did get a little delayed, and so we got all that stuff figured out. I'm going to show you everything you need to know about this update. Try to make it as simple as possible for you so you can understand it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and actually just like even if you're not, because that'd be cool. And so I'm going to show you everything you need to know about this update, like I said, but there's a lot of things in here you don't even need. So I'm going to talk about all of that shortly. Let me go ahead and get some lights out here because it's about to get dark. All right, so before we get into all of this madness, that is the new factory system, because you are going to get confused, we're going to start from the very basics, okay? First thing you need is a tier 4 workbench. How do you get that? I'm going to show you. This is what it looks like. So this is what the tier 4 looks like, and if you go in here, you're going to see all kinds of new stuff. So how you do this is you need to go to a tier 3 workbench, obviously, and you can either hit the upgrade button or you can just go straight to it, but we just hit the upgrade button. It's just easier. And so you can see here it requires 250 red bronze ingots, and it requires 250 wood. So after the factory update, a lot of people didn't really keep up with red bronze. So how it works is you need this red bronze refinery to make red bronze, right? And so how that works is you need to actually put in copper and gold, much like a food processor. Like a food processor works similarly, where you need to put like dough with tomatoes or something like that to make pizza. It's kind of a similar idea, and it doesn't require any kind of power. So you just feed stuff into it directly, and it automatically outputs red bronze. Now, it is kind of expensive to make, so I would highly recommend, if you're going to actually get this, make sure you just buy it from another shop. People are buying, it's so much easier to get it that way than trying to make a bunch of steel plates, because you're going to need not only a steel press, but you're also going to need a copper press. So you're going to need steel press and then a copper press, and then you're going to also need to make these molds, because in order to be able to do these things, so these are the molds right here, right? So you can make rods, and you can make bolts, and then you can also make plates. So you want to try to stay away from that as much as possible. If you don't have a lot of money, it's so much easier. Unless you're doing hardcore mode, just go buy this. Now, if you're like, well, DV, they're going for 500,000 now, or whatever, I don't know how much they're going for right now. Last I saw, they were going for really cheap, like 150,000, 200,000 before this update. Now, granted, that was before this update because no one wanted them. They were kind of useless, but now this update made them super useful. Everyone needs these, so everyone's scrambling looking for refineries. So if you're gonna go buy some, you'll see right now everyone's talking about refineries. Now, if you could just buy the red bronze, great, but you're gonna really need this long term, right? So you definitely want to get a refinery as fast as you can. Now, with the refinery, what you're going to want to do is, I've got an auto farm out here already set up. I'm going to show you how to set it up. So you can see I've got some drills. So the drills are actually doing copper. So I've got one copper drill, because one copper is plenty. We don't really need more than that, because copper drills so fast compared to gold. And so I just basically feed it down here into my smelter. And so we're smelting copper, and then it goes into here, right? So it basically feeds into the red bronze refinery. So you've probably already seen this. I've done tons of videos on this. I've done speed runs for getting red bronze refineries inside hardcore mode. If you remember my hardcore mode series, I've done a lot of red bronze. I know how long it takes to get these things. It takes a while. It does take a while, but it's just so easy to just go and buy one of these off of a shop. If it costs 500,000 for some reason, or anywhere between that, maybe 200,000 to 500,000, it's just so much easier. Just go farm a bunch for a while, go sell some other stuff, and then buy this, from someone. So it's just gonna be so much faster for you. So you do need some drills here. I have two. I got really lucky with my gold deposits. What I would say is, if your gold deposits are far from each other, just go and knock one of them out, farm it out, and hope that it spawns back close to your other gold farm. Otherwise, if it's like clear, across the map over there, it's kind of useless. So I got lucky. Both of these spawn pretty close to each other. So you can see I just feed these together, and then the gold comes in through here. It gets smelted. So you can see it's starting to load up. We got a lot of gold down here, and now my gold is actually being smelted. So it goes in there and it makes this. So you can see I've already got like 44 right now. So I've got 44, and that's perfect. So that means I can go and make more stuff. Now, red bronze is not only used just for making this thing, right? So obviously it requires 250 to make this, but it's not just that. All the things that you're going to want inside this, for the most part, are going to require red bronze. You're going to need lots of this for the future, because like things like this, for example, the crate packer requires red bronze. This thing right here, the barrel filler, requires a little bit of red bronze. It's like 150 red bronze. It's everything's just kind of expensive in that regard. So you're definitely going to want that. You're also going to eventually need those items over here that I was just talking about. So you're going to eventually need the steel press. You're going to eventually need all those molds. So you definitely want to have something, like the still press setup. It's not very confusing if you think about it. This has been around for a while. All this factory stuff's been around for a while. The only thing is that now you actually need red bronze. You never needed it before, and a lot of the times you didn't also need any of the steel before, the steel bolts, the steel plates. You only needed them a little bit, but now we really need them. So also as a part of this update, we got a bunch of other things, right? So we now have a tier 2 packer. I'm going to show you some of the new stuff that just came out. So over here, there's actually a couple things. One is we got a new merger. So before the merger conveyor, we had this. We had to do something like this to be able to merge, right? So you had like maybe stuff coming from this side and this side, and then you had whatever, maybe there's a food processor here, and that's how, you know, these two things had to drop down. Well, this merger now replaces that. So how the merger works is you get this thing, and you can pretty much just do the same thing. So it looks like that. So it's the same thing, but instead they actually merge right here, and then they spit out right here. The difference is this is still more compact. If you think about it, it only takes 3 blocks. This one takes 4 blocks. This one takes 3, and this one takes 4. Maybe you want to have everything on the same level. This is pretty useful too. I actually think this is fine still. So if you want the merger, you can buy that. It doesn't require a tier 4, by the way. You can actually buy this thing in a tier 3. So as part of this update, we also get a couple other things I'm going to show you. I'm going to skip over this stuff. This is all factory related, but right here, coming down to here, we got a tree fruit shaker. How this works is you can actually put like, avocado trees, lemon trees, apple trees. And what's cool about this item is you can now automate creation or farms for, you know, things like maybe you wanted to make an avocado toast or something like that. You can actually do that completely automated now. You couldn't do it before, but now you can do it with this tree shaker. I actually really wanted this when the game first updated with fruit trees. I was hoping we'd have this, but we finally have it. You can actually now auto harvest trees, fruit trees. And so I've actually got an example of that over here. I'm going to show you real quick, and then I'll show you how to make it in a minute. But you see right here, I've got an apple tree, and it's been shaking it, and I've got apples. I can just collect those. So we finally can actually collect fruits. It's so cool, especially for all of you who actually like to do a lot of baking and stuff in the game. That's awesome. So we have the shaker, and then the other things we got, similarly, we have this right here, which is a sapling auto planter. So it's basically all it does is automatically replant saplings. It doesn't quite work the way I wish it did. I'm going to just show it to you real quick. This is what it looks like, and I'll explain this whole little input thing right here in a minute. You're going to understand pretty quickly, but it's pretty cool. Look at, you can see like the little sapling inside. But basically right here is where the sapling will get replanted. And currently, as of today, it only works with oak saplings. I don't know what their plans are for other types of saplings, but currently this is the only one it works with. So it'll actually just plant it right there. So the other thing is, if you want to fully automate this, you are going to have to automatically find a way to feed these saplings into it. So you see, I just manually place them in there, and it's not powered. That's why it's not working right now. You got to power it with this, which I'll show you in a little bit. But the challenge with this one is, if you remember in my auto farms, we have to manually, split the lumber mills items. So we have to actually manually split, not really manually, but through physics and balances and stuff, you'll notice that we were able to, split saplings as well as, wood, but we have to use physics for that and distance and other kinds of, blocks. So, as soon as we have that sapling, now we have to move that sapling all the way back up into this, which is a big pain. So I actually wouldn't recommend using this. I would say until they've actually done some improvements to it, this item is kind of useless. I hate to say it. It's horrible to say, but I don't find this item at all useful. I think it's easier to just use this setting that they've added, which is the auto replant. So you can see auto replant saplings. All you got to do now is just go around and use your axe, right? This is all you really needed. So I can go and chop this thing down, and it's just replanted it. As long as that's enabled, it's replanted it, and it has. So you can see it's right there. It's replanted automatically. So you don't really need this auto replanter. I think it's just kind of a waste of, resources, waste of time, unless you really, really want to find a way to, automate a tree farm, which, I'll probably make one just to show you how to do it in case you want to, but I just don't find it as good as just, sprinting through a row of trees. I think that's better. So the next thing we have is an automated trough. So they don't actually currently have that in the game. I think they're adding it because I just pointed it out to them. So hopefully they'll add that back in. But basically what it'll do is it'll make it so you can actually automate, from your farms, you can actually automatically refill troughs for your animals, which is really cool. So that is going to be coming into the game. You'll find it obviously in the animal workbench here. I'm sure it's just going to shift everything down, or it'll be down here. We also got a tier 2 crate packer. This is crazy. So what this does is it can actually make a tier 2 crate, which is metallic. I'm going to show you what that looks like real quick. But Dom actually now buys metallic, they're like kind of metal crates, and they can fit 250. So instead of just 100, it actually fits 250. So you can see all the way down here, there's large crates. So instead of the plain crates, these are large crates, and they kind of have like a metal look. And he's buying them for way more. So this is substantially more. The problem I have with crates is I've always had like loss with my crops. I don't know if that's still still going on. It might actually be fixed, but I know for a while the crate packers were having some issues with crop loss. And so I have one right here I can show you. This is what it looks like. And then I have it fed in with, I have it fueled. So you got to power it, which I'm going to show you in a little bit, but this is what it looks like inside. So you're obviously going to have to feed this in with your crops, or you can just manually feed it to, you know, if you have a bunch of crops inside your inventory, you can drop to it, just similar to anything else. And last but not least, we have these new conveyors. Check these out. I'm going to make a couple more. Now, what's cool about this is it'll actually accept different types of conveyors. It requires 3 red bronze ingots and then 1 conveyor. And it doesn't matter what kind of conveyor you do. You can, you know, if you have a bunch of left and right extras that you don't need, you can use left and rights, but it's just going to consume whatever you have, similar to flour. So as long as you have one of these, it'll actually make it. So I just made a bunch of them. So let's go over here real quick. I'm going to show you how fast they are. They're really fast. Actually, I'll just do a little comparison right here for you. So we got 4 right there, and we'll get some regular conveyors. So they're supposedly 2 times the speed of regular conveyors. And they actually look really cool. Look at that. It's like kind of got like little lasers on the sides. It's like a little force field. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop some coal here. We're going to see how fast this is. So we're going to put it on this conveyor first to give it a head start, and we'll do this one. Look at that. It just beat it. It's so much faster. So that is going to be a nice improvement, especially for long distance type of travel, or if you want to do like maybe for your auto farms. So remember, for auto farms, imagine how much faster you can go now. So that is an improvement. So if you have like auto farms for like trees, anything really, this is going to improve your speed for farming so much better. So this is probably one of the most valuable items in this update, in my opinion. Probably the most underrated addition. And that's going to make it so you can actually auto farm your berries, your trees, your, you know, watermelons, whatever you're auto farming with conveyors, especially for you mobile players. You're going to love that update. So you're definitely going to want a bunch of those. Try to, you know, you can probably just buy them off people's islands too. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go straight into the oil factory kind of stuff and how to do this, because a lot of this is not even needed. So I'm actually going to start from scratch here. So I'm going to show you the basics of what you need, and then we're going to go through a little bit beyond that. So for now, we're just going to go through the basics. So in order to be able to get one of these oil deposits, let me get rid of all this first. So when you first join the game, you're not going to have one of these oil deposits, okay? Because you actually need to put down a tier 4 workbench. So if you don't have a tier 4 workbench, you will never get one of these oil deposits. That's just how the game's working. You just can't get it. So what's going to happen is as soon as you place that tier 4 workbench, what's going to happen is this oil deposit's going to appear or spawn on your island. It's random, okay? So it's not going to happen, like, it doesn't mean it's going to happen immediately. For me, it happened within like 10 seconds. Granted, I play the game a lot, so it could be based on time, you know, gameplay. So as long as you're playing a lot and no other islands have spawned right away, because if you just got a copper island, chances are this is on a similar interval, so you might have to wait until the next interval for, you know, resource spawns. So just give it a little bit of time, be patient. If you can't wait, then maybe just go buy some other stuff from other people for now. But so this is what it looks like. It looks, you know, it's a big black block here. This is an oil block, so you can see, you know, it's pretty beefy, just like everything else. And so what you're going to need to do in order to be able to get or extract that oil, you need to go over to this tier 4 workbench, and you need to buy one of these pump jacks. So you can see this is a pump jack, and it's basically an auto miner that extracts oil resources from the ground powered by coal. So you got to power it with coal, obviously. So this is what it looks like. It's pretty cool. So let me go place it, and you're going to want to put the red thing on the block itself. See, it looks like a little fire hydrant. Put the little fire hydrant looking thing on the block itself, and that's where your output is. Right there is where you're going to, you know, pipe things. So you're going to hook up your pipes to that. You're going to already see a little bit of the oil, kind of the black stuff right there. So what you're going to want to do is go buy some pipes. So to buy pipes, just go over to your tier 4 workbench. You're going to go buy pipes. Now, one thing to note, if you think you need 20 pipes, then just buy 2 of these. If you think you need 100 pipes, just buy 10 of these, because I bought 40 and I ended up with 400. So whenever you buy one of these, it's going to give you 10. So don't do what I did. Just, you know, just buy what you need. So you can see I have 408. I have a lot of pipes. So pretty much right here, you just need to get the first one started. And after that, they don't require anything. They'll float in the air. So now one of the things you're going to notice when you're doing this, see how things kind of automatically turn and curve. Just be patient with it. It'll figure it out. But you can go up and down. It's pretty nice. It's actually a really nice system, but with flexibility comes kind of painful user experience. So you just got to see how this happened right here. So if that happens right there where these things kind of act weird, just fix them. There we go. Now you'll notice one thing. You might think it's like broken because you're not seeing any oil pipe through yet, but that's okay. Don't worry about that. It's because we haven't connected it to anything yet. The next thing you're going to want as part of this pump is you're going to want a refinery, okay? So the reason why we're doing that is we want to be able to make petroleum. Now, you do not require this step. If you don't want to do this step, you don't have to. The reason why you want petroleum, though, is if you're going to use any of these systems, if any of these things, if they're yellow and blue like this, chances are they're going to need to be powered by oil or petroleum, rather. So, for example, if I want to do the auto, like this thing right here, the crate packer tier 2, that's going to be requiring petroleum. This is not petroleum. You can't power these things with straight up, crude oil, so raw oil, okay? So if you're going to want to use any of those automated systems that I showed you earlier, like the crate packer or the, I think the Trough is going to require it, but basically anything in factory over here, all of these are going to require a hookup to petroleum, except for the fillers and stuff. But if you're going to, be using this automatic planter, if you're going to use the tree shaker, the crate packer, you need petroleum. In that case, what you're going to want to do is have an oil refinery. So you can get the oil refinery inside the tier 4. You can get this guy right there. So this oil refinery, and let's put the refinery down. And here's the refinery, and I'm just going to hook it up like right here. There we go. And now one thing you'll notice is that it said input right there, and this says output. I really like that they actually put the text here. But basically on the left side is your input. That's where you're going to feed the oil, and you notice it turned black. See, now you can see the oil is inside the pipes. It's basically going in here, right? And so now we need an output. And what does the output do? Well, that basically is going to make petroleum for us. So if all you care about in this game is making money and you don't care about these things, you don't care about even the crate packer, all you want to do is be able to make these things, which you're going to be able to sell later. All you're going to need is the filler, okay? So from here, you're just going to need a filler after this. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So we're going to complete the barrels. I'm going to get you to the point of making money, okay? So we're not going to worry about anything else. We're not going to worry about the crate packers. I'll show you all that stuff in a minute. But let's go to the very, very basics here. So first up, if I want to make oil barrels, because you can make these, and you can also make petroleum barrels. So I have a feeling these are going to be sold for more than these, okay? This is just raw stuff. Then you got to process it into petroleum. So these are the two things that you can make. And this is probably the most basic build you're going to see online for this game right now. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go over here. We're going to make sure we get a couple of these little pipe junctions. All that's going to do is it's going to take a pipe and it's going to split it into two. What that means is I can actually have more plugs. Because if I only have one and I want to split this because I want to maybe make these, see the barrels, the oil barrels, I can't just feed that. There's only one tube. How do I fix that? Well, you got oil junctions, okay? Or pipe junctions. So I'm going to show you the junction, and we're going to put one right in between this. So we're just going to cut this in half. And when you look at this junction box, I'm just going to show it to you. This is the input in the middle. This is the output on the sides, okay? There's only one in the middle, and then there's two on the sides. The one in the middle is going to be your input. So that's where we're pretty much going to put this. So that has to be like that, okay? Now we can actually feed this out to something and feed this out to something. This left one right here is going to go to our refinery. This right one is going to go to our barrel filler, because we're going to make oil barrels while we're making petroleum. Pretty cool. We don't have to do this, but I want to make both of these. I'm going to show you how to make both. Like I said, you don't have to do this. You could just make barrels if you want. You don't need the junction at all. If you just want to make barrels of oil, then you could skip this. I'll show you it real quick. You could pretty much just take this filler, this thing right here, barrel filler, and you could pretty much just hook this up right here like that. And we just need to curve it. And now you're going to be making raw. This is just crude oil, right? This is the most basic build you can have for making oil right here. Get a chest out here. And now after a while, you'll see this fill up. And take a moment. I forgot to mention is you will need to actually put some coal back here, because right now it's not powered. Even though it's showing it's powered, even though it's filling up, it shouldn't be showing that. It should have a conveyor back here with a coal totem, and then you could just put some coal in there. All right, so now we are actually pumping. So you're gonna see this gets filled up shortly here. It does take a moment before it does anything. There it goes. There's one. So once this fills up to 6, it's gonna make a barrel. Again, this is the most basic build you're gonna do. Now that it's full, it's gonna actually make a barrel in a moment. It's kind of like an input-output chest, and then it pushes it out. So the next one it comes through, we're gonna make a barrel. All right, we just got one. You saw that. So now here's the oil barrel. We can just pick it up. So now if you're anything like me, you're probably gonna be like, I want more. So now that you've seen the basics, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take these out, okay? So we're going to get a splitter, which is the junction here, because we want to keep making this, but we also want to make petroleum, right? We don't want to just be stuck with just this. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically use this this little splitter here. So again, the middle here works, right? So it comes into the middle, and then it goes out to the left and right. Very simple, left, right. It's just how it works. It's how pipes work. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually pipe this back to the petroleum refinery. So the oil refinery rather. And the way I like to do it, if you're going to try to do a turn, by the way, a little tip here, don't immediately try to turn stuff like this right in front of it. Put it right here. And the pipes are smart enough to know that you're trying to make a turn. See how that does that? it's automatically snapping because that's the most logical path, right? There's a block next to it that's already trying to turn. So then you turn it this way. And then if you want to come back this way straight in, you just go like this, do that, pipe this back. There we go. And then just curve that and then curve that. So you can see it's now going to fill that in. Our refinery is getting oil now. So now we need to bring this one out and then we can go back to making our old filler here to make more barrels while we're, working on this stuff. Now you might be wondering where you sell these barrels, and Doug inside the hub over here will actually be buying them from you pretty soon. So I'm going to show you where he's at real quick while we're on that topic. So if you come all the way down here and talk to Doug, Mr. Oil Baron, he's going to actually tell you, rumor has it, blah, blah, blah. Cletus family has a huge oil deposit under it. So he says he's still setting up shop, come back tomorrow. So supposedly you're going to be able to buy another oil deposit deed, so you can actually get more than one oil deposit. Plus you're also going to be able to sell that stuff to him. So that's going to be useful. So keep that in mind. You're going to be able to sell these barrels to Doug inside the hub. So this is going to be a great source of money. So now that we have our refinery, we need to be able to, use our petroleum. So we're going to do something similar here. I need to buy another filler. So let me go buy another one of those, get our junction in so that when it feeds out, so you can now see it's yellow. So that is actually, it's kind of like a tan yellow for petroleum, and that is refined oil. And from here, what we're going to do is we're actually going to feed these into a couple things. One is, let's turn this. So these are the pipes coming out, right? Just so I have them. We're going to turn this one right here. This one right here is going to actually be for our filler. So we're going to use this to fill up some barrels. So this is going to feed, even though it turns black. I don't really know why it goes back to black. It should kind of be smart enough, I think, to know that we're still in petroleum, but that's okay. This update just came out. And then, and right here, now we're going to actually be making petroleum barrels. So as part of that, we also have a feed or a source right here with petroleum. So we can use this for anything else that we want to do. And so I'm going to show you those in a moment. But this right here is the bare minimum. Now, what you could do is you could also put a tank in between these. So if I wanted to store up a bunch of oil, I could put a tank right here. This is what the tanks look like. I'm not going to do that, but that's what the tanks look like, right? Oil tank and petroleum tank. And like I said, they're completely optional. If you really want to do it, you could. But you can see this is what they look like. I'll just put them out here, but this is what they look like. So you can see you got the input and output. So you put that right there, and then the output goes right there. So you can fill it up and then output. And you can fill these up if you really want to, and then you can unhook them and they'll stay filled up. But I don't really need these, so I'm not going to use them. I'm not going to hook them up. I'm not going to confuse you with them because they are not required. They are strictly if you want to do that. So again, not required. It's just for optimization. So if you think, hey, I would be great if I had an oil tank, that's what that's for. All right. So, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you a couple things. First of all, we want to be able to shake this tree, right? So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to actually get our tree shaker out, which I already bought, right? So I already have one of these. And you can see right here, as we're looking at these, the little grabbers right here. And then you can see the little, this should work with both blocks. So if you want to do it on right here or right here, it should work. During my live stream, we were having some issues. So we were told to use this block, but then they also fixed it. So this block should also work. So I'm going to go and put that down over here next to this fruit tree. All right. So we're going to feed this over. We're also going to do another turn. And then we're going to go straight this way. The pipes are actually a lot of fun to mess with. So we got to power this thing with petroleum, by the way. You can't use oil for this. I've already tried. I've done a lot of experimenting. That's why my update video is a little late, is I've been doing a lot of experimenting. All right, there we go. So similar to the pump, you're going to want to make sure you actually have a power source to this as well. So just put a conveyor down and put a coal totem. We'll go ahead and power this up. All right, so now that this is here, it should actually start powering up pretty soon. As soon as the oil refinery is starting to heat up, you'll start seeing this going. Okay, this is going now. And this is about to heat up as well. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up by disconnecting my filler right here. It's using up everything. It's using up all the fuel. So we'll go ahead and disconnect this guy right here. That'll speed things up over here. So it's just feeding this only. All right, you can see it just actually shook my tree. Look at the leaves are falling, and we just got our apple. So it gave us 3 apples, and it shook our tree. So it is working. It was pretty instantaneous as soon as we got power to that. So it gets smoking now. It's getting some power. It's good for a little while. And so if more apples grow shortly, then great. So this is pretty much the powered version. Now you can do a couple other things with this factory if you didn't know it. So essentially over here, we got a couple other items. So we can do a barrel extractor, and it's very similar to the filler. The difference is you can actually put barrels in and feed your farm. So like, I'll actually make one real quick. They're actually really cheap. I don't know why they're so cheap, but they are. But we can get in a barrel extractor. So there's our feed right here. We're going to put a chest right here because we're going to put our barrels in. And then what we're going to do is inside here, we're going to hook up a tank. And we're just going to do it to 2 of our oil barrels. So let's go and put some grass down. So this is how the extractors work. You don't need these. Like I said, it's only if you're going to use Like it's really only if you want to store, you know, more oil. So maybe you're buying oil, or, you know, maybe you want to store it for, you know, investment purposes or something like that. So you can see there's the input and there's the output. So now if I come over here and put in some barrels and put it out, it's going to go and feed those in. And these are right now are extracting into here. So see how it's filling the tank? That's how that worked. Barrels are in. Now, if I wanted to disconnect that and hook it up to something else, I could. So if I want to do like petroleum, I can do that as well. So I can put a couple petroleum tanks over here. And the nice thing about this is I can source this to other equipment. So maybe I have it like maybe equipment somewhere else disconnected all the way over here that I want to fuel, but I don't need to fuel it all the time. I could just kind of put an extractor next to the tank, drop some barrels in, and then I can fuel my stuff remotely instead of it being have to, you know, like otherwise I got to like pipe all this stuff all around my map. And you know, you might not want to do that, especially if it's something that you're doing temporarily. So for example, right here, I'm just going to go put one of these on as the input. I'm just going to hook this right here. Let's get our extractor right there. And then I'm just going to drop some petroleum barrels. Actually, I could probably feed it directly right there. I mean, you can see it's going to do its work and it's filling it up. Do it again. It's pretty fast. You can see how it's filling up really fast. And there's it again, filling up. Pretty cool. So very simple system. It's actually a lot easier than a lot of people think. And as long as you understand why we need tanks and stuff, it'll make more sense. So like, for example, right here, I can disconnect this thing. And now that this is a source, right? This is the input. I would have to use the output if I want to hook it up to anything. But maybe I'm like really far away from something and I want to have like maybe a tree shaker hooked up to each of these petroleum tanks, and I only want to use them every now and then I can just fill this up and then hook these little devices to these. So for example, right here, if I want to do like maybe like a crate packer or something, then I can power that all the way over here. And all I got to do is hook that up to this, and I've powered my crate packer without having this entire chain of pipes. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm trying to make it as clear as possible to you why you'd want to use tanks and why you'd want to use extractors, because it was confusing to me for a while. And I, you know, talked with the devs a little bit, and it makes a lot more sense now. Like I said, it's more future proofs too. Like some of the stuff is just really for the future expansion, but that is a great use case right there for you. The final thing I forgot to cover, which is the petrifier. This is actually really basic, I would say. It's not like super useful to me, in my opinion. I don't think it's worth it. I think, you know, maybe in the future it would be worth it, but I'm not a really big fan of it. I have some of it. Here's what it looks like. Here's what it makes. It's petrified petroleum. So this is what it makes, right? This is basically like coal. It's basically like yellow coal. So it's just basically fuel. But the thing is I did a little test, right? I did a little campfire test, and I didn't see these actually doing much more than coal. So I don't think there's much use for these. Maybe it's just an alternate fuel source, but I feel like it's just there, but it's not useful yet. So watch this. I'm going to burn coal, and then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to burn petrified petroleum, and you're going to see that they actually burn at the same rate. See, it's pretty similar. It's not like one's going like, I would actually imagine petrified fuel should be like right here and going much, much slower. So what that would mean is it's a better fuel source, but it's currently not a better fuel source because it's going at pretty much the same rate as the other. So currently I would say don't even worry about this thing. It's not really worth it yet. I would say just skip it till it's useful. Conveyor belts, like I said, are the most useful. So anyway, this was exhausting. I actually spent like 5 hours on a stream, and then it took me a while to make this video. But hopefully this is clear to you. Hopefully, you know, nothing's confusing for you. Like I said, if you really, I think the biggest question in your mind is, how do I get these things fast? The two questions I kept getting was, how do I get this stuff? How do I get red bronze fast? Again, you're going to have to trade for that bronze refinery because it's really expensive to make. I mean, look at it. You need 100 steel plates. You need 250 copper rods. You need 25 steel rods. The copper rods, the steel plates, big expense right there. And then, you know, it's just the time it takes to actually make the red ingots and stuff, to make this, you know, tier 4 workbench and all that stuff. Just go buy your, you know, refinery. It's going to save you a ton of time. It's going to save you a ton of pain. But beyond that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button and smash the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. And let me know in the comments below if there's something in particular you want to see, like, you know, hey DV, can you show me how to do an auto tree farm with this thing, or maybe with the automated trough as soon as they add that in. You know, whatever you're looking for, let me know in the comments. I will do my best to show you how to do it. You know, if there's something that you're getting confused about with the pipes or something, just let me know. Thanks again, and I'll see you all in the next vid. Peace.